Welcome back to my channel. It's your host, London Lamborghini, and I'm back at it again with another video for all the girlies that want to upgrade their health, wealth, and relationships. In today's video, we have Pris the Goddess on TikTok who has a podcast. Go and check out her podcast. But today, she is going to be breaking down what is the patriarchy, how does the patriarchy affect you, why you need to know about it, especially if you're a girly that wants to get married someday. So go check out her socials, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into the video.
I want you to listen very carefully to this video that I'm about to play. Especially my single ladies out there who are thinking about getting married. Make sure you watch this before you sign that dotted line. Especially now that Republicans are trying to get rid of no-fault divorce.
Talk about the structures of marriage. People love to talk about that type of shit. I want to hear you talk about it.
I mean, marriage is literally invented as the slavery of women. They called slavery of black people chattel slavery, and they called the slavery of women marriage. It was made up to trade women as property because patriarchy happened first. At the end of the Neolithic era, when people started farming, certain people were like, well, if we farm, then we need private property to say what land is mine so that I know what food is mine. And therefore, what we were doing before, where people had kids and everybody raised everybody, it's like, now I need to know what children are mine because I need to know who I can make work this farm and who I'm responsible to feed. And in order to know what children is mine, I need to know what woman is mine. And boom, you get marriage. And then that goes to Europe and then gets Christianized and then they use Christianity as a weapon, as a sword to hold to all of our necks to colonize the entire planet. The normative culture that we're all treated like is just regular when it's actually...
Video got cut off at the end, but he says that marriage is actually something very new. Current iteration of it. And we act like this is just human nature and how it's always been, but it's actually the product of a system looking to exploit women for free labor and for childbearing and child rearing. Ladies, this information that I'm about to share in this video is being suppressed. Every time I make a post about the origins of things like marriage and romantic love, those posts never get more than a few thousand views. And that's by design, because this information is groundbreaking and the patriarchy doesn't want you to have access to it. So if you learned something in this video, please like, comment, share, repost. Get this information out there, ladies.
Romantic love was really invented by lower status men for lower status men, so that they might be able to compete with higher status men in the sexual marketplace for women. Because they didn't have the resources and the status and the opportunity that most women are looking for in their partners, they invented an intangible, romantic love that they argued was even more special and valuable than all of that mere stuff. It's kind of a spell that romantic lovers attempt to cast over their love objects. However, it's a tenuous, fragile spell that can really be broken at any time. So romantic love actually works only to the extent that the romantic lover succeeds in drawing the love object away from anything that would remind her, essentially, that the emperor has no clothes. Sort of attempting to draw the woman away from the world into this little universe of two, where everything that we need is in each other's eyes. Forget about everything else. Look only at me. It's a hypnotic spell whose objective is to lure the love object away from anything that could break the spell. That's why romance is generally a strategy for those who can't compete successfully in the world yet. A group that is overpopulated by young men. It's very, very hard to be a young man in this world, let me tell you. They're incompetent and inexperienced, so men can't do anything with them. And they're poor and low status, so women don't want anything with them. No young man is the king. And if they can't rule in the real world, one of their sexual strategies is to kind of hypnotize women with the fantasy of romantic love into following them out of the real world and into the universe of two, where he can be king. Do you understand now?
We've been bamboozled, ladies. We've been hoodwinked, been tricked.
therapist said she'd been doing marriage and family therapy and individual counseling for 30 years. And she said there's only two dynamics that work in a long-term marriage. She said the couple can be equally in love with each other. She said that's a dynamic that will last. She said the man can be more in love with the woman, like madly more in love. And the woman can just be like, I'm in love, but I'm not completely in love. She said that's a match that will work. She said the matches that always fail is when the woman is more in love with the man than the man is with the woman. She said the reason for this is men who are madly in love will do the sacrifice, changes, listening, communication, and work of being in a relationship long term. And women actually do that work regardless of how in love they are. Women will do the work of relationship, the hard work of relationship, regardless of how in love, but men will only do it if they're like madly, deeply, and head over heels in love.
Now, I know people are tempted to focus on the first half of what she said, that the only successful relationships are the ones where the couple are equally in love or the man loves the woman more. We all have grandmas who told us that, right? But for me, the most important part of what she said is that women will do the work of relationships irregardless, whereas men will only do it if they are head over heels, madly in love. So, ladies, whenever these Dustantians from the land of Dustyville are sitting up in here asking, what do you bring to the table? Just remember, you the whole damn table. Use that information accordingly.
Do you see a difference between female brain and the male brain? Is there a bit
massive?
Really?
Okay. I published a study, 46,000 scans looking at male brains versus female brains, and it's like we're not even the same species.
Really?
It's their brains are so much busier than male brains, and generally they're healthier because they have more estrogen and they don't do quite the toxic things that male brains do.
Is that because they can develop a consequence, things like that? They can understand consequence more than male brain? You know, the development of that thing is all part of it.
The prefrontal cortex.
Right.
Their prefrontal cortex was way more active.
Right.
Which actually why females make good leaders. Their executive brain, their frontal lobes, much more active than male brains, so they're often better at forethought, decision-making, and collaboration, and empathy. And guys struggle with that. And then if you hit a lot of soccer balls with your head, you really struggle.
There is a reason the world looks the way it does. There's a reason why all the water is dirty, all the air is dirty, everybody's broke and depressed and has anxiety, and there's war all day, every day. We have leadership full of folks who are not skilled at leading. Being power hungry is not a leadership skill. And that's all the males are. Power hungry.
There is something wrong with, and women cannot solve the problem. Feminism has tried and failed because men have to find the psychological ability to look at their brains and ask themselves, why do I have this need to physically be a weaker woman? Why? Why do I feel that compulsion or right that I can act like this? And it's a men's question to themselves. It's nothing that women should be asking men. It's something men should be asking each other and themselves. This need from men to attack women in this way, which indicates that actually the fundamental root of this is men are terrified by women. Men are profoundly inferior and profoundly aggressive, and that's biologically wired into their brain. And that's why they go around causing wars. That's why they go around destroying other nations, because men have something seriously unevolved and unadapted inside their brain structure.
One of the most common refrains that I get on my feminist posts, especially the ones where I'm talking about how women are done with the males. One of the most common responses that I get from those males is, well,
If you get rid of all men, then who's gonna fight your wars? Who's gonna protect you?
And it's like what never occurs to them is the fact that y'all are the motherfuckers waging war. Women don't wage war. Women are capable of resolving conflict peacefully. Women are in control of our emotions. We don't let our emotions take over us to the point of violence. We wouldn't need to wage war when we could just have peace talks. And as for the protection part, from whom do we need protecting? Because it's not other women. We don't need protection from other women. It's not wild animals. We're not running from saber-toothed tigers. It's men. We need protection from y'all because, you know, I already did a video about this, but I'm gonna do another one because I think this is such an important topic that when women were in control of the bloodline, the caliber of men was much better. And that when men gained control of the bloodline, the caliber of men went down drastically. All of those tyrants in history, all of the users and abusers, those motherfuckers would have been bred out. The do-nothings, no ambition having motherfuckers, manipulators, narcissists, they would have all been bred out because the bitches wasn't fucking with them. And that's where you get this toxic masculinity that is masquerading as real masculinity. Because all those toxic fuckboys who should have been bred out of the line were able to force women to procreate with them. And that is one of the biggest selling points of the patriarchy for men. Or should I say average men. You don't have to try. You don't have to put any effort. You don't have to be excellent. You can just be mediocre as fuck and you still gonna get a wife. This also reminds me about how in more egalitarian societies, the men and women are more equal in terms of height and like build, and how that impacts social dynamics, which I can talk about that in another video. If you're interested, let me know in the comments. So yeah, one of the worst things that the patriarchy did was take the proliferation of the bloodline out of the hands of the woman. Now we got a bunch of knuckleheads running around terrorizing us.
So let me know what you think in the comment section. Have you read any books on feminism? Are you aware of the patriarchal programming that exists within society? Or perhaps you come from a patriarchal culture that has a heavy focus on placing the male at the center of the household? Or have you been a feminist for a long time and you are very aware of patriarchal conditioning? Let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I love each and every one of you. And check back in every day for a new video.